They gave me 48 hours to tear down a tiny blue pantry 2 days before triple-digit heat. You okay with that? It was painted robin's egg blue, with a glass door and a crooked little heart cut out on the side. I built it with my kid, Leo. On a Saturday, the way people build lemonade stands in movies. 2 posts in the dirt by our mailbox. Quickset concrete. A proper roof with shingles. We stenciled "Take what you need divided by leave what you can" in white. We stocked it with bottled water, granola bars, baby formula, tampons, a few paperbacks. On the back we wrote our names with a Sharpie, built by Marisol and Leo. August 14th. Cottonwood Ranch looks like a postcard. Brick boxes. Wide drives. Crepe myrtles bleeding pink. It also runs on rules. Sidewalk chalk. Technically graffiti. Overnight, street parking. Fineable. Bird feeders. Attracts pests. There's people who love rules. There's people who use them like a crowbar. Karen Whitlow was the second kind. She showed up the day after we posted a photo of the pantry on our neighborhood Facebook. So proud of our community, I'd written. Naive as a guinea pig. 52 hearts. 7 God bless. 2. Looks tacky. Then Karen. Profile picture in a pearl collar. Typed, "This is not in harmony with the aesthetic." Harmony. She said it again when she came to my door. Printed notice in hand. "This structure is not in harmony with our standards," she said. Voice. "Light like iced tea. You didn't ask for. Please remove it by Friday at 5 p.m. or fines of $500 per day will accrue. Also, the board is very concerned about public health." I stared at the notice. It was 3 pages. Bolded. With our address in block letters and a citation. Section 9C, Auxiliary Structures. "Karen," I said. "It's a pantry. It's free food. It's like a little free library, but with food and diapers." She smiled, with just her top teeth. "Those are also not permitted." Actually. Okay. But we're in a heat advisory. People need water. People have refrigerators, she said. And we have standards. You can apply for approval retroactively. But the board. We don't look kindly on things built without permission. Do you look kindly on kids fainting at bus stops? It came out meaner than I meant. Sorry. I worked last night. I'm a nurse. We had 2 heat strokes in the ER before noon. I'm not taking the pantry down. Her smile thinned. Rules wasn't sorry. Weren't written for feelings. Ms. Vega. She handed me another paper. You have 48 hours. Clock started. I didn't just build a box and hope. I did my receipts. The week before we dug the posts, I'd emailed the city health department to make sure prepackaged food was okay in a street-facing pantry. They answered the same day, no prepared foods or perishables. Shelf-stable only. Water is fine. Please maintain cleanliness. I printed the email and put it in a clear sleeve. Receipt 1. I also took the pantry's measurements: 48 inches tall, 24 inches wide, and checked the county plat map for our lot line. The strip of grass by the mailbox. A public right-of-way easement. The HOA can bark, but the city owns that lip of land. I printed the plat map with a yellow highlight across the easement. Receipt 2. Then I dropped my favorite, the HOA's own CC&R's covenants. Conditions. Restrictions. Section 9C said auxiliary structures, sheds, pergolas, playsets require approval. It didn't say a word about micro-pantries or libraries. Section 2B said the HOA had to interpret rules reasonably and consistent with applicable law. I printed that too. Receipt 3. By sunset. My binder had a spine. Plastic sleeves. Tabs. Sticky notes. Nurse brain. Everything labeled. Meanwhile, the pantry kept doing what it was built to do. A kid in a Spider-Man backpack took a granola bar and left a crayon drawing of a lizard. Ms. Grant, the retired English teacher with the red walker, left 2 cans of beans and a worn copy of The House on Mango Street. A rideshare driver in a Subaru dropped off a case of water like a ghost blink. Trunk up, trunk down, gone. We went to bed with the porch light on. Around midnight, the ring buzzed 2 shadows. Polo shirts tucked into khaki shorts. Reflective vests. They walked up to the pantry, shined a flashlight inside, and started taking pictures. One pushed the door open too hard, cracking the little heart hinge. The other slapped a neon sticker across the glass. UN sanitary remove immediately. My blood went cold. They're back, I whispered. Leo steered. I didn't wake him. I pulled up the Ring app. Hit download. Receipt 4. I took a still of the hand slapping the sticker. Of the vest patch. Maple Compliance Services, like a company made for a sitcom villain. I zoomed into the badge number. Recorded the timestamp 12:37 a.m. At 7. I brewed coffee. Then called the number on the sticker. It rang twice. Compliance. A man said. Bored and mean. Hi. You put a sticker on my pantry. He sighed. Location. Cottonwood Ranch. 48 Marigold. Yeah. He said. Food attracts vermin. You gotta take that down. I have an email from the city health department saying shelf stable is fine. Lady. He said. We're contracted with your HOA to enforce standards. We can cite you for health hazards whether the city cares or not. My brain did a hard stop. You can't invent health codes. We can enforce the covenants, which don't mention pantries. Congruence. He said. The General Harmony Clause covers it. I muted the phone. Harmony. They love that word like it tithed. He kept talking. Your placement's in the common area. That's not your property. Actually, I unmuted. That strip is a city easement. I slid the plat map out of the sleeve like a card trick. Even though he couldn't see me. You don't have jurisdiction there. Silence. Then a click. He hung up. The first fine hit my inbox at 9 a.m. Immediate penalty $500. Line 2. Continuing violation will accrue at $500 per day. They already had a photo attached to the pantry with the unsanitary sticker. Shot like a mugshot. I replied with the binder. All of it. City email receipt 1. Plat map receipt 2. CC&R excerpt receipt 3. Screenshots of the midnight visit receipt 4. I CC'd the HOA board. The city health email. And because I'm my mother's daughter, BCC'd my own Gmail and printed the sent mail with full headers. Receipt 5. Petty maybe. Necessary yes. Karen answered 5 minutes later. We appreciate your passion. However, the board has a duty to the many, not the few. The pantry is attracting attention on social media and could invite non-residents. We must protect property values. Non-residents. The word sat in the email like a gummy bear coated in sand. She didn't say who she meant. Just made room for the board to imagine it. Which was worse. At lunch, I stood by the pantry holding a Sharpie like a shield. People whispered when they walked dogs. Devin from the next block, Black Dad. Barber. Laughed like a trumpet, stopped and touched the sticker. They doing this at night, he said. Two dudes in vests. Midnight. He laughed a little. No humor. HOA police. They... I said. They're a company with a truck and a laminator. Miss Grant rolled up slow. I left peaches yesterday, she said. Should I not canned, or okay? No fresh food. I pointed at the printed email inside a plastic sleeve. Taped to the pantry wall. Shelf stable only. City says so. She peered at it over her glasses. Then we do it, by the book, she said. And squeezed my hand. Her palm was paper dry and warm. That afternoon, the HOA app lit up. Alert blue box at 48 Marigold draws loitering. A photo of 3 kids reading on the curb. Another post. Strange car idling near pantry. It was a Prius. Someone typed, keep our neighborhood safe, with 3 siren emojis. Karen posted a poll. Should unauthorized structures be removed immediately? The maid of honor energy jumped out. We need unity. Comment pas con? Some neighbors defended me. Others called me a rule breaker. Receipts don't talk until you play them. At 4 p.m. I sent a group email titled, Reasonable Community Use. I attached the city email, a typed page titled, Pantry Protocol. With bullet points, no fresh food. No glass. Close door gently. Wipe shelves with diluted bleach each Sunday. And a simple sign-in sheet from a plastic folder I taped inside, where folks wrote what they took and left. I highlighted a line. Please no more than 2 items per visit. Receipt 6 sign-in sheets themselves. With little notes like left 2 waters. Took 1 diaper pack, thank you. J. At 6 p.m. Maple Compliance came back with bolt cutters. Leo and I were eating cereal on the porch. Don't judge. Night shift. We heard the metal clink. I stood so fast, my chair skidded. Hey, I said, stepping onto the walk. What are you doing? Removing hazard. The taller one said. Same bored voice, from the phone. His vest read R. Pownell. The other, baby-faced and jumpy, held the orange fencing merchants use for sidewalk detours. You're trespassing, I said. This is city easement. He smirked. The HOA maintains it. Maintenance doesn't equal ownership. I shot back. My hand shook. But my voice didn't. Not much. You don't have authority here. He lifted the bolt cutter anyway. The sound when he snipped the lock was a clean bite. Like a carrot. And something in me snapped. I stepped between him and the pantry. Back up. We can call security, he said. And actually chuckled at his own joke. The baby-faced one put the fencing down and filmed me. Of course. He filmed like I was a raccoon at a music festival. Cool, I said. And thumbed my phone to record. 2. Say your names. They didn't. So I said them into my phone. R. Pownall. Badge 132. Maple Compliance. Second man, unidentified. Time, 6:12 p.m. August 15th. Action attempted removal of community pantry without notice. I sounded like a cop for a second. It felt delicious. He swung the bolt cutters like a gavel at the air. Move. No. You're obstructing enforcement. You're trespassing. We stood there with 2 inches between us. Heat in the space like a toaster. Then headlights swept the curb. Auntie Priya pulled up in her Sienna minivan and put it in park a little too fast. She stepped out with a tote bag of rice and lentils. "What's going on?" she said. Eyes jumping from my face to the cutters. "We're taking this down," Pownall said. She slid the tote behind her calves like a mother opossum. "No," she said. Mild as tea, but iron underneath. "You're not." He stared at her like he was doing math. Then he hissed an exhale, flicked the cutters shut, and snapped at Babyface. "Let's go." They left the orange fencing. I folded it and put it in my trunk. Receipt 7, a photo of it coiled like a defeated python. Thursday morning. A red envelope appeared in our mailbox like a Valentine from hell. Final notice. It said on the flap. Inside, a threat of a lien if fines weren't paid within 30 days. Also, a line I'd never seen before. Unauthorized charitable distribution. They were making up crimes. I called the number at the bottom HOA office. A man answered with the tone of someone who smells a storm and wants to climb a tree anyway. "Accounts." "Hi," I said. "It's Marisol Vega at 48 Marigold. I received a lien threat. You are in arrears," he said, tapping keys, "at $1,000. "It's been 2 days," I said. 2 days. 2 fines. Plus another for unauthorized charitable distribution. Tap tap. Yes. Where does it say that in the CC and RZA? Pause. It's implied in use restrictions. Uh-huh. Cool. Could you email me the exact clause for my class? You know. Binder. Another pause. He hung up. Pattern. I wasn't gonna fight alone. My neighbor Devin texted town hall tomorrow. "You coming?" The HOA had called an emergency listening session. For once, they were gonna let residents talk. Big of them. I also emailed the city ADA coordinator, because once you live in a hospital, ADA lives in your pocket, and the city health department contact again with a subject line, in all caps, HOA interfering with public health. I CC'd a council member's assistant whose kid I'd started an IV on once. Don't at me. Connections matter, and our local mutual aid group. Sunbench neighbors. I printed all that. Receipt 8. By nightfall, Karen blasted a post with a glossy header, "Protect Cottonwood Ranch." She wrote, "We've seen increased traffic near 48 Marigold. Some non-residents have been observed loitering. Please, be vigilant." The photo attached. A Muslim dad parked by the pantry in a baseball cap, passing a water bottle to his toddler in a car seat. She blurred the kid's face, but not his plate. My breath caught. That wasn't just tone deaf. That was a dog whistle you could hear from space. I commented, hands shaking, "Please remove the plate number. That's unsafe." Other neighbors chimed in, "Not okay. That's profiling." Karen replied, "I hear your concerns." Like a robot from the land of human resources. But the photo stayed up for an hour before a moderator took it down. I screenshotted everything. Receipts 9 through 12. Friday. 4 p.m. The clubhouse. Fluorescents that made your soul look tired. Folding chairs. 2 officers near the back, because we anticipate a lively discussion, Karen said, winking like she was hosting a bridal shower. On the wall, a vinyl banner. "Property values matter." In navy and gold. The M had an ivy sprig curling through it. I rolled in a hand truck stacked with, "Yes, my binder." A box of printed photos. And a portable projector I'd borrowed from the school. I wasn't gonna whisper. I was gonna show. Karen tapped the mic. Welcome, residents. We'll begin with general concerns, then address specific violations. She looked at me when she said the last part. Like a dentist scheduling a root canal with eye contact. I raised my hand. Didn't wait to be called. I have receipts, I said. And a murmur rippled. Not like Target. Proof. The treasurer. A guy named Trevor with a haircut that said golf is personality. Smirked. Ms. Vega. Where slide 1 hit the screen behind them, the City Health email. Big and yellow, highlighted at the line. Shelf-stable food and water are permitted in small community pantries. Avoid perishable items. I read the date, August 8th. I read the sender, Cassidy Ward. R. S. City Health and Environment. That's a registered sanitarian. I said. She's in this room. Heads turned. Short hair. Black blazer. Cassidy raised a hand from the third row. Hi, she said. Indeed. That reply is mine. Slide 2, the county plat map, with the highlighted strip of land between my mailbox and the curb. I read dedicated public right-of-way. I showed the legend. If the HOA mows it, that's lovely. But they don't own it. Slide 3, CC and Rs. Section 2B. Clause on reasonable interpretation. Slide 4, ring footage stills of Pownall's hand slapping the UN sanitary sticker. Slide 5. The sticker itself in a plastic sleeve. I held it up like a courtroom exhibit. Sticker applied without a city inspector's finding. Labeled unsanitary without basis. That word has legal teeth. Slide 6. The midnight photo of 2 vests with badge numbers. That's trespass. Someone in the back whispered. Dang. I kept rhythm. Every 30 seconds. A new receipt. A new gear. Slide 7. The social post with the Prius. Slide 8. The post with the Muslim dad's plate number. Blurred by me this time. With the caption, please be vigilant. A wave of discomfort moved across the room like a shadow. You didn't have to say who the non-residents were. The picture did it for you. Ms. Whitlow, I said. Voice lower. You put my neighbor's safety at risk. She grasped the mic like a flotation device. I made a mistake in my haste to protect our community. The plate was removed immediately. 57 minutes later, I said, reading the timestamps. After complaints. A voice near the aisle. This is gross. A man muttered. Karen's smile thinned. Let's return to the core issue, the blue box. It is not harmonious. Cassidy stood. Public health harmonizes with life, she said. Dry. Poverty exists in this zip code, whether you like the paint color. Devon. From the back. Laughed once. Sharp. Say that, he said. Trevor leaned forward. There were reports of rodents. Reports, I said. From who? He looked at a paper. Anonymous. I clicked to slide 9, my Sunday cleaning log receipt. 13. No droppings. No gnaw marks. Sealed food. Wipe downs. Also, I bought metal bins. I held up one like a game show model. Rats can't chew this. Laughter popped. Nervous and grateful. Then the door opened and a woman with a navy blazer and a pin that caught light stepped in. Apologies for being late, she said. And people made room without being told. I'm Assistant City Attorney Janelle Park. I'm here because my office received complaints about private security acting under color of law. Karen blinked. I beg your pardon, under color of law. Ms. Park said again. Neat as a stapler. Private vendors representing themselves as officers to enforce health hazards without municipal authority. That's a no. She looked at Pownall. It turned out he had slunk into the back row, and then at the officers by the exit. Also, removing items on public easements is theft. Karen's mouth opened and closed. We were protecting property values. Ms. Park's eyebrows did an inch. By cutting a lock with a child present, I clicked to slide 10 the video of the bolt cutters raised. My voice steady. Leo's cereal bowl on the porch rail. A sound escaped the room, like someone had stood on a cat's tail. Karen tried to smile. It didn't climb her face. We can discuss this offline. No? Devin said. We're right here. Let's take a breath. Trevor said. Palms up. He gestured to the banner. We all care about property values. A hand rose near the aisle. Mr. Ahmed, who ran the corner store that still stuck cash under the counter to help kids buy milk when their cards declined. His voice was soft. If your property value depends on whether a child can drink a bottle of water at a curb, he said, I think your math is wrong. The flip didn't come like thunder. It came like a door slow closing. Motion. Ms. Grant said. Voice, a little shaky, but clear. Recognize the pantry as acceptable under a temporary community accommodation during heat advisories. Rescind fines. Instruct Maple Compliance to cease any action on public easements. I second. Devin said. Like he was ordering barbecue. Karen tried to steamroll. The board decides motions. Ms. Park. Lawyer voice. No nonsense. Your bylaws allow floor motions at special sessions. She held up a printed page. Article 10. Karen deflated an inch. We'll allow it for discussion. I call the vote. Ms. Grant said. And I loved that she went straight for it, like a seasoned parliamentarian who'd watched a lot of YouTube. Hands went up. Mine stayed at my side. Fists in my pockets like an uninvited guest. Counting wasn't even close. Fine, Karen said. The motion passes. Her smile returned. But her eyes had the brightness of a person suppressing tears by thinking about math. We will revisit in the fall. Also, Ms. Park said, you may want to revisit your contract with Maple Compliance. Their conduct last night, in particular, the bolt cutters, falls under potential felony mischief. Not charging. To be clear, but potential. Pownall found something fascinating on his shoes. Cassidy stood again. My department will provide a one-page best practices for community pantries, metal bins, shelf cleanings, contact numbers, no open containers. We're not the enemy. She smiled at me. Quick. And, Ms. Vega is correct about the easement. I was too tired to cry. I just breathed. It tasted like stale coffee and an AC unit overdue for a filter change. And it tasted like victory anyway. After the vote, people milled. A neighbor who'd commented tacky on Facebook brought me a tray of supermarket cupcakes with too much frosting like that could wipe the slate. I didn't know it was that, she said, gesturing at the whole room. I just, blue. Paint comes in other colors, I said. Softer than I expected. We can repaint. Her shoulders fell. Okay. Maybe, Sage. Let's not go crazy, I said. And we both laughed. And it shook something loose. Karen tried to slip out a side door, but Ms. Park caught her. They spoke low. Pownall vanished like a roach at dawn. Leo tugged my sleeve. Can we get pizza, baby? I said. We can get two. We ate greasy slices at the park. And Leo fed crust to a squirrel who clearly had union-negotiated benefits with the city. Mama, he said around a mouthful. Are we, like, the villains? No, I said. We're the people who bring napkins. He nodded, solemn like a judge. Aftermath started the way change does with paperwork. The HOA sent a letter on actual letterhead, which felt like an apology in Times New Roman, saying, fines rescinded. I framed it and hung it in the kitchen next to Leo's drawings and a print that says, drink water. Call your mom. They also promised to develop a policy regarding small community aid structures during emergency declarations, which is HOA for we're trying not to get sued again. Maple compliance, suspended night operations. Translation, no more midnight stickers. Pownall quit for personal reasons, which is corporate for after footage of you went mildly viral. I didn't post it, but someone did. And, the internet ate him. The city council moved fast because once lawyers smell an HOA stepping on a city easement, it's like a buffet. On September 12th, they passed Ordinance 2107, Protecting Neighborhood Mutual Aid. It said HOAs can't interfere with micropantries or libraries placed on public rights-of-way during declared heat emergencies. Cassidy forwarded me the PDF with a smiley face and framed this too. I did. Date highlighted. Receipt forever. Karen clung to the board with both hands. But people were tired. Of the meetings, of the smug polls, of the vinyl banners like commandments. A recall petition appeared at barbecues and book clubs, and the PTA back table by the plastic forks. It needed 30 signatures. It got 53. When the vote came, it wasn't close. She stepped down without a speech. Pearl's quiet. A new board formed like a scab, imperfect but closing the wound. Devin joined. Ms. Bonnie. Grant too. They were messy and late sometimes. But they listened. They created a community aid liaison unpaid. Of course, what is time, and put my name next to it without warning. I said yes because I'm dumb or brave or both. We drafted the policy in a living room that smelled like cinnamon and dog hair during city-declared heat advisories. It read, micro-pantries and water stations may be placed on public easements with notice to the HOA. Signage must include maintenance, contact, and city guidance. Structures must be kept tidy. No fresh food. We kept the list short. We kept the nouns small. We voted yes. Karen's old friends voted meh in a group text, and then okay. Sunbench neighbors, the mutual aid folks, brought us a grant $5,000 for water pallets and metal bins. The HOA matched it like they were performing. And I didn't care why. We put 2 more pantries on opposite ends of the neighborhood. One was Sage. Yes. The third was a deep red, Ford calls Ruby, because red wasn't expensive enough. We held a ribbon cutting that felt silly, until it didn't. A kid grabbed the scissors and yelled 3, 2, 1, and everyone shouted and clapped, and for 10 seconds, no one talked about property values at all. And Karen, I saw her once. October 2nd. At dawn. She was walking a small barky dog past the original blue pantry, which we'd repainted coastal gray to appease the aesthetic gods. She paused, absolutely not looking at it. And then, without breaking stride, she opened the glass door and slid in a sleeve of crackers. She didn't take a selfie. She didn't post. She just did it. I don't know what that means. I'm not a priest. Maybe it means nothing. Maybe it means everything. I'd like to say that was the end. Roll credits. Qui soft piano. But HOA stories don't end, they smolder. By November, a new fuss ignited the board, passed a rule requiring all flags to be United States flags or military branch flags only. The day after Juniper from Birch Lane hung a tiny pride flag in her planter. A notice appeared. The day after that, the notice disappeared. And a sticky note in a stationer's cursive appeared on Karen's old porch. Be kind. We were gonna be fighting forever. I guess. Some fights are a lifestyle. And then winter came soft and green. And the pantry pivoted. We replaced water with socks and hand warmers. Ms. Grant typed poems on her old Royal and left them in a little plastic box labeled Poems for Pockets. A boy took one and read it on the curb and cried, and I pretended not to notice, because pride is also a thing you feed. Spring made the crepe myrtles sneeze confetti. Leo turned 9 and got a skateboard he wasn't allowed to ride without a helmet, which he wore on his elbow. And we fought about that with the intensity of the Paris Peace Accords. On a warm Wednesday, Cassidy texted, "Quick favor, media wants to cover the ordinance." "You up for it?" I said yes before I could get stage fright. The station sent a reporter in a blazer too hot for the weather and asked me to hold the pantry door like I was Vanna White. I showed her the metal bins, the Sunday bleach bottle, the cleaning log with my name on too many lines. She asked, "What do you say to people who argue this isn't the right way?" And I said, "Cool. Then do it your way. But don't shut this down while you figure out your way." They kept that part. It aired at 6. My mom called crying. I cut cilantro and let the phone sit on the counter like a person. 2 days later, we had our first spill. Someone left a dented can of peaches that leaked down the back of the shelf. Ants found it like it was MapQuest. I got there with paper towels and a prayer. As I scrubbed, a car rolled up, silver sedan. Windows down, and the Muslim dad from the photo leaned out. I never got to say. He said, English tight around his consonants. "I appreciate you. I'm sorry they posted your plate." I said. He shrugged like a mountain. "It happens. It shouldn't." He reached into the back seat. "Here," he said, passing me a 10-pack of socks with little rockets on them. "For the kids." I put them on the shelf and wrote new like a teenager with a craft blog. The ants retreated. The pantry smelled like sweetness we didn't earn but got anyway. On June 1st, the HOA held its annual meeting in the clubhouse with a dessert table and a kumbaya energy that bordered on suspicious. Devin, now vice president, opened with a land acknowledgement. Someone wrote in a hurry, and a motion to limit maple compliance to mowing contracts only, passed in a wave. Then community comments. A man in a starched polo stood. "I lost a buyer last fall," he said, who cited weird neighborhood politics from Google results. Anyone think about that? Yeah. I said, every day. But you know what else buyers look for? Community. They look for people who take care of each other. And rules, he said. Like those words couldn't share a couch. Both. I said, honestly, both. He sat down like a balloon, losing a little air instead of popping. Then, Ms. Grant St. Hote, breaker of meetings, stood and cleared her throat. "I move that we create a community resilience fund," she said. $10,000. Matched by donations. For heat relief, storm prep, and anything else life throws. We spend more on pet waste stations. People laughed. They voted. It passed. We started buying box fans with those funds when the first heat advisory hit. We put laminated info cards by the pantries. Drink water. Rest often. Call this number if you need a ride to a cooling center. We trained 3 teenagers to do Sunday cleanings, paid. Because I'm not about to build a justice thing on free labor. Last week, this is what tipped me to sit down and write all this. I woke to a basket on my porch. It held a roll of blue painter's tape, a bundle of sage paint chips, and a note in tidy cursive that said, "Coastal gray is growing on me. K." It didn't come with pearls. Look, I don't trust redemption arcs like that. People don't turn into other people just because you argued well. But they can get quieter. They can open a pantry door and slide in crackers and walk on. Maybe the miracle isn't that Karen softened. Maybe it's that she didn't matter as much when we stopped acting like she was the weather and started acting like we were. We still argue. About flags. About holiday lights. About whether June's garage band is music or a cry for help. But now, when the group text pops with "someone left a mess," 5 people answer with "on my way." And then it's solved. And then a kid eats peaches with a plastic fork like it's the best thing in the world. This whole thing started because somebody said harmony like it was a cudgel. Turns out, harmony isn't matching houses. It's dissonance resolved. A chord that includes you and me and the person we didn't plan for. It's water bottles stacked in a gray box in August. Sweating like a promise. It's a poem in a pocket, and socks with rockets, and a quiet dog walk with crackers. Anyway, what would you do here?